Christopher Rausch, and I'm here to rock your socks off. I'm here to change your perspective about your past, present, and your future. I'm here to get you to eliminate your tolerations and your excuses. And I'm excited about tonight's show. Thank you guys for being here, whether you're live or on the replay, whether you're watching us on the video cast or you're listening to us on the audio cast. Of course, we're everywhere where podcasts are sold. I don't think they sell them anymore, do they? No. We're on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon. We're everywhere and anywhere you can get your podcasts. But I know a lot of you guys watch this. I know a lot of you guys watch this on replay because we actually air late at night on the East Coast. My poor guest had to take a nap to be here tonight with us because it's 10 o'clock there, but it's only 7 o'clock here in Southern California where it's beautiful outside. It's beautifully dark. And it's nearing Halloween. Are you guys ready? Are you guys scared? Who has decorated their house for Halloween? Because I got a pet peeve with people. Nobody is decorated. There's 2 people in my whole entire neighborhood. I've got a pretty decent size, like little area, I guess you call it. And myself and my next door neighbor have killed it. And then there's one other person that put a little spider web over their bush, which I'm like, oh, good. Thank you for playing. My poor kid is like, where are all the decorations, Dad? Why aren't people decorating like us? You know, we got a graveyard out front. We got hanging mummies. We got things that light up and blow up and spooky and all this other stuff. So I'm kind of feeling bad. So if you guys are out there in raw and unscripted land and you guys have decorated your front yard, send me a picture. I'd love to see it. info@noexcusescoach.com. Send me a picture of your front yard. Let me know you're playing, because when I was a kid, a lot of houses decorated and it was kind of cool because you go out there and you'd have this Halloween experience. And I'm really kind of scared for my son that he's only going to go out and nobody's going to be giving out candy and it's going to be kind of lame. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, even if you don't have kids, get in the spirit and help kids have this Halloween experience. Unless of course you're anti-Halloween. I know some people, it's part of a religious thing and they think witches are burning and stuff like that. I don't even know. But anyways, yeah, that's just my little weird opener right now, talking about Halloween. Got Valerie Smith in the house. She says, hi, Christopher. Hi, Valerie. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. I think you're joining us from LinkedIn. So appreciate you. We are streaming right now to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook groups. And we've also posted on Instagram. We're all over the place. So thank you guys for being here. I'm excited for this. And as you come on the show, please, as always, engage with us. Questions, comments, let us know what your thoughts are on a particular aspect of the conversation that we're having. This is us sitting at a bar or coffee shop, having a great conversation with me and myself and my guest. And we encourage you to be a part of the show. So thank you, Valerie, for being here. I know we got other people that are going to be joining us here in just a moment. Some people are late. They're weird. They like to show up like casually after the party started. So no problem. Appreciate you guys all being here. And it's been a pretty incredible week. It's already Tuesday, but a lot of stuff has been happening in the life of Christopher Rausch and the No Excuses family. As I've been talking about previously, my book is coming out February 24, somewhere around that part. It's called It's Just You and Me Kid. It's Just You and Me Kid. I was sitting there thinking about the website and the name of the book. It's just yourandmekid.com. If you guys are interested in hearing the life story of a 13-year-old kid who had to drop out of the 7th grade, had to live in a car with 18 cats and 4 dogs and a mom with very psychological disorders, that actually turned his life around and became pretty actually happy and successful and earned a master's degree. I encourage you to go to itsjustyourandmekid.com. Check it out. There's lots of bonuses there when you sign up and you help me make it a bestseller when it comes out. I'm doing this all groundwork. I'm just doing this authentically, transparently, and I would love for you guys to be a part of that process. So I'm giving a bunch of freebies away when you sign up and you help me make it a bestseller. So itsjustyourandmekid.com. Check it out. If you guys listen on the podcast. And there's something else that I want to share with you guys tonight. Got Walter McKinley in the house, my brother from another mother. What's up, Walt? Thank you, brother, for joining us. I appreciate you. Something I'm super excited about announcing, and it's something that really came to me, I'm going to say, in the last week and a half ago. Actually, Walt could probably verify this for me, because I think by the seat of my pants, and I go by what God, source, universe, whatever you believe in, tells me to do. And so I've had so many people, I've been blessed by so many people saying, Chris, I would love to coach with you. I would love to coach with you. And they find out, they do a complimentary coaching session with me, and they find out what the investment is to work with me for 6 months, which is generally what I do. I offer group coaching every once in a while. I just recently did a No Excuses workshop, but I'm happy to say that I'm doing something right now that is designed for those of you who have a budget constriction. And I understand that a lot of people do, and that's no harm, no foul. But my whole thing is that when I'm called to post and do stuff like this, I feel like it's being called to me by God's source universe. And it's something that I just want to do for the goodness of helping people, because I believe when I help these 20 people that are going to join this group, I've already got about 5 or 6 people in there, that you guys are going to go out there and help other people be successful. You're going to set the example of what's possible. And together we can all make this world a better place for who we are and what we do. And that's my whole legacy. That's what I literally tell myself every single morning when I wake up. The first thing I say is what I'm grateful for. The second thing I say is what my intentions are. And my first intention is always to be present and playful with my son, who's 6 years old. He's amazing, like I was talking about for Halloween. And then my next intention is always that I'm going to use my words and my actions to make this world a better place for who I am and what I do. And by doing such, that I inspire other people to be able to go out there and do that as well. Because my whole goal in life, and I was just telling this to somebody today, he said, "What's your big dream?" And I said, "You're not going to believe this." And he goes, "Well, try me." And I said, "My big dream is to bring world peace. Like, I want to impact the entire fucking globe. And I just want people to get their head out of their ass, stop watching the news, stop watching politics, stop watching shit that doesn't serve them, actually work on themselves, make themselves happier, have empathy and forgiveness for people that have wronged them in the past, get over that shit, start rocking their life, build their self-confidence, remove their tolerations, end their excuses, and then go out there and really achieve the stuff that you're supposed to be achieving." Ladies and gentlemen. So I'm happy to say that I've created this group accountability coaching. It's not a traditional group coaching program, but it's something that I think I put together that's going to resonate with you. And the details are all here. I'm going to put the link up in the chat here in a second. But literally what I'm doing is I'm offering this special opportunity. It starts this coming Monday, October 30th. And the reason why I'm starting it so early is that I want people to start working on their 2024 goals now. So many people sit there and say, "Oh, I'm going to set this resolution in January." And then they get started on their goals in March or April or something like that. That's ridiculous. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get you guys started on working on your 2024 goals now and start eliminating your excuses and your tolerations for why you don't believe that you can achieve them. And there's going to be hot seats. There's going to be a recording of the Zoom meeting. We're going to have accountability partners assigned. We're going to have a Facebook group. I'm literally throwing the kitchen sink at this thing because I want it to be so unbelievable that you can't say no. You cannot say no. I've had people sit there already today. I made some call outs today just to people that I know that like dig my content or said, "I wanted to work with you, but I can't afford it." They've said, "Chris, you've literally thrown the kitchen sink at this." I'm going to do daily inspirational messages. We're going to have Q&A. For the people that join and do the premium one, the additional services is they're going to get a 30-minute call with me every single month. That is a $300 value. That's a $150 value because normally I charge $300 for a coaching session. I charge $10,000 for 6 months to coach with me. So the ridiculousness of what I'm doing here is crazy. And actually what I'm also doing just to make it even that much more undeniable is the first 3 months I've discounted the price even more. And this is something I normally do not do. This is not a sales pitch or anything else. This is something that I normally do not do. So literally the standard pricing is going to be $29 for the first 3 months. Then it's going to move to $49 a month, which again, $50 to have me twice a month. That's pretty incredible. Have accountability partner, have me do teachable moments, have hot seats. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then the premium, you get the 30-minute call with me. Plus, here it is, private Facebook messages to ask questions and run ideas past Christopher direct. Now, I only do that for my private coaching clients. They get all access to me. They can text message me. I'm not going to give you guys that. But I'm going to give you guys the private Facebook messages. I'll respond within 24 hours. That value is priceless. And so that one's $99 a month for the first 3 months. Then it's $149 a month. That is beyond affordable. That is, if you want to be able to advance your life and you want to work with me, who is the no excuses coach, who will get you to where you need to be. I promise you, if you're in the game to win it, I promise you, we're going to win it together. And so I want something that's reoccurring, that together every single month we show up, and I want you to show up. I'm only taking people that are ready to go get it and people that I know that will contribute positively to the group. I've had a few people that have asked me about it, and I've told them that actually the seats are sold. And then I'm going to do possibly another group because they just don't believe that they're going to bring value, and that's no harm, no foul to them, but they're just not in a space where I want to make sure that this first group can really be kick-ass and really contribute to one another, that you can have an accountability partner that's going to hold you accountable, that's going to say, "Hey, listen, you said you were going to do these 3 things last week. You didn't do them. Why?" Okay, what's the why? And how are you going to overcome the why if that shows up in the following week? I didn't have enough time. Okay, what is it that you can do to rearrange your time schedule? And I'm going to be talking about all of this inside of the group to make sure that there are clear, specific boundaries and that we're all serving one another. So this is something that I'm just doing out of the goodness of my heart. I really don't need to do it, but I just feel for some reason, I just got told like, listen, Chris, you need to do something for people who can't afford it. So I'm just showing that to you. I'm going to put the link down there. You guys can go check it out and you can pick it up. The first 20 people are going to get this particular deal. If there winds up being a bigger demand for it, I'll do a different program, and I'll probably actually raise the prices, because normally I don't do things this inexpensively, just to be honest with you, but we'll see how it goes. But it's just my way of making sure that we're all contributing together, because what my goal and my ask is going to be of you guys is that when you're happy and successful, that you go find some people that might need some help, and that you could give your products and services to at a discounted price, and together we can kind of pay it forward together. So I appreciate you guys in acknowledging that, and helping me share this out. So if you're not even in a position or want to do it, if you could just please share this out, it would be tremendous to me, because all together, we are humanity. You guys have heard me talk about the fact that I am on the board of directors for Help Heal Humanity. It's an amazing organization, just in case you have not had a chance to check it out. Where is it? Where's my little thingy? Oh, I guess somehow I deleted it. But anyways, helphealhumanity.com is my organization that I volunteer and I coach and I mentor and I raise money for. It is a phenomenal organization. And I believe that truly when we help each other, it's amazing what we can do in this world. And again, my goal is to make this world a better place every single day that I'm alive. I have a 6-year-old boy that deserves to inherit a world where he can go outside and not be worried. He deserves to inherit a world where he's not going to worry about if the next world war is going to kill him or anything else, or global warming or anything else. We have to make sure that we are contributing positively to society. Right? Bitching and complaining and pontificating and blaming and holding animosity and anger towards other people does not get us anywhere. We are here all for a reason. We're a global community. Black, white, short, straight, gay, Republican, Democrat, Trump, Biden, vax, no vax. I don't care what fucking label you put on it. Split us down the middle. We're all the same. We're all the same. I am type A negative in my blood, and I actually donate every 8 weeks. I just got a message from Livestream, which is the place I donate with. And they're like, there's no blood on the shelves right now for type A negative. So if there's somebody out there who might be dying or needing a blood transfusion, whether they're black, white, straight, gay, Asian, whatever fucking label you want to put on it, I can donate my blood and I can save their life. And that's what this is about. So thank you guys for all being here. We got Hooked on Humanity in the house. That's Nelly. She says, hello all. We got Stephen Smith in the house. He says, greetings from Sarasota, Florida. What's up? From the other coast. I'm here in Southern California. He says, what a fantastic deal. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I'm throwing my brains and my blood and my brawn and my heart into it, because I'm so passionate about making this world a better place. And you guys can see I'm the real deal. I'm not one of those fake motivational speakers or fake coaches and all that other shit that's going on in the personal development industry right now. So don't even get me started on that. He goes, Ted says, I will find a way to get in. Thank you, Ted. I appreciate that, man. You need to be in here, and I will be willing to work with you. I just want people that are going to be in there, and let's make shit happen. We got Robert Broker in the house. He says, good evening, Christopher, Walt, Hooked on Humanity, Stephen, and Ted. Thank you, Robert, for being here. There's the link if you want to see it. It is. We got Walt saying, hey, y'all, great to see you guys here. Thank you again, brother. And talk about accountability partners. This is my brother right here. We talk multiple times a week. We hold each other accountable. We hold each other to a higher level of standard. He'll call me out on my bullshit. I'll call him out on his. That is important. You do not want somebody to sit there and say, like I ask them all the time, like, what do you think I could do to improve this show? And they'll say, no, Chris, you're awesome. You're fantastic. This show's amazing. I'm like, well, it can't be that amazing because it's not being bought by Spotify. It's, so help me what I could do to make it better. And usually people tell me like, you need to slow down, Chris. You need to talk slower, but that always feels kind of fucking weird. Valerie Smith says, right on. So thank you. Ted says here, he goes, I have to have 3 blood transfusions last time I was in the hospital. Holy shit, dude. Yeah. Again, somebody donated that blood so you could live. And all together we are humanity. So thank you for imbibing me in that. Walt says here, accountability and honest feedback comes from love from the people like us. Yes. Thank you. And by the way, guys, follow Walt and his wife, Legacy Driven Marriages. It's a fantastic podcast. It's a fantastic group, Legacy Driven Marriages on Facebook. It's all about helping your marriages grow, helping your relationships grow. So definitely connect with them. And he's also written a book called Monsters in My House, which is phenomenal. I have it sitting right over here. Phenomenal book. And speaking of amazing people, I have had the opportunity to meet my guest. I can't remember exactly how we did. I think we met through LinkedIn, but we had an initial call about being on this show, and the conversation just went crazy. I'm like, we should literally be recording this. So if you want to see the female version of me, if you want to see somebody who's got grit, who's got honesty, who's got transparency, who's got passion, who's got history of going through the trenches, please welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show, Jen Grosso. Jen, what's up? Thank you for being here.
I am so excited to be here. It's and to give me that compliment that I'm the female version, I'm truly honored. I feel like I needed to wear that hat though.
Yeah, you got to put the bandana and you got to be on that. It's honestly, somebody asked me the other day, they said, why do you always wear the bandana? And I said, because I hate sweating. I said, that's where it started from years and years and years ago. Even when I had long hair, I wore a bandana. I've always worn a hat on backwards. And so I literally combined the two when somebody was sitting there saying, okay, what's going to be your style? What's going to be your theme? And I thought, whenever I stand on stage, when I was a suit and tie speaker, I would always be doing this. And it would always distracted me from my message. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sweating. I feel uncomfortable. I'm like, I was in a mastermind and they said, what would you do if you could just do anything? And I said, I'd wear my bandana on stage because I wouldn't have to worry about sweating. And they're like, do it. And it's been there ever since.
Yeah, I love it. It's all about authenticity. For me, it's actually wearing my hair down. So originally I was an attorney. So every time I had to speak, my hair was like up in a bun and I had pearls on and I wore my uniform that I was supposed to wear, right? Like, yeah, like the pinstripes and I got my little thing and it was like a rebellious act to start wearing my hair down. And I had just had it. I was like, that's it. This is my hair. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing I'm from New Jersey, so I'm throwing my hands around a little bit. So
let's go.
I think that you just have to be authentic, and that's what I love about you, and that's why I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. Actually, I saw somebody post yesterday. They said authenticity is like this burned out word, and like I'm so sick of hearing it and stuff like that. I'm not. I don't find it a burned out word. I think when people are real, I call them real and honest. But authentic is like being true to yourself. Like wart. I call it zits and all because I never had a wart. I've had zits, but I call it. Some people say warts and all. But what do you think? I mean, truly, what do you think about like people watching this and thinking about like just being truly yourself? I mean, you were in law, you were very successful, made a lot of money. It wasn't your wheelhouse. Talk to us about that journey of going from Jen in those days, wanting to win people's approval, like this is what I'm supposed to do, to the Jen now.
Yeah. Jen, who became the lawyer, I dotted all my I's and I crossed all my T's. And I had created this cage for myself and I didn't know that I was doing it. I thought I was doing all of the right things and that would somehow bring me happiness and health and abundance and give me the whole dream. And the more I checked off the boxes and got exactly what they said would bring it, the more I was not happy and not satisfied. And then what really started to not give me pause, but make me think I might need to upend this whole thing is when I started having physical symptoms of stress when I was in my 20s. What is this? It started with an eye twitch. And I couldn't control it. Right. I had this
like, you're winking at me. You're winking at me. She likes me. She likes me. You're like, no,
I don't. and I remember standing in, it was like 3:00 and I was on my, I don't know, probably 5th cup of coffee to stay awake and getting ready for, what I called like the third shift, continuing to work until the middle of the night. And, and one of the partners came in and said, how's it going? And I was like, well, my eye twitch is back. So that's good news for me. And I walked away from him. I didn't even engage. And it was when I really just started to say, like, this is not how I want my life to go. I don't want my life to be all about work that I did not find satisfying. And that wasn't truly me. There are plenty of amazing lawyers out there who are doing excellent work. So it's not a bash of that. I was doing the wrong thing just because that was supposed to be the path that was laid out for me. And it was not real or raw or authentic in any way. And I had to, what was the most scary thing about that was I didn't know what was.
Oh yeah. That unknown.
Yes. It was terrifying. And yet, it was more terrifying to see where I was headed. And I had to go. I had to take that leap. And at the time, so this was a long time ago, at that time, less than 5% of attorneys would choose to make that leap on their own. They got fired, they might make the leap, but I did it. I did it on my own. I'm super proud of that me from back then.
Oh yeah.
Scary though.
It is. It is. Have you ever heard, you've heard of Steve Harvey, right? The comedian talk show host. Have you ever heard it? He does a talk. He does it. It's like a minute and 23 seconds or something like that. It's called Jump. Have you ever, some people have heard about it?
No, I don't think I have. I've heard the Will Smith when he talks about jumping out of the airplane. That one.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually so my coach, the great Sally Anderson, who I actually get to meet in person, she's going to come to my house on Saturday. I'm so excited.
Oh, nice.
She's coming down here from New Zealand. She's in Los Angeles now. I'm so excited. I've known her for 10 years. I've been coaching with her since 2019. She's an amazing person, but I've watched probably thousands of hours of YouTube videos. I still do. I'm into Alex Hormozi. Have you heard of Alex Hormozi?
I have. Yes. I used to own a gym. So yeah, you could not know Alex if you owned a gym.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm not into it for that, but I recently just came into my purview and I was like, now I'm watching a video a night because I'm like, that's my class. And I always believe in like going to class. But so I've watched tons and tons of videos. My coach had me watch this video by Steve Harvey. It's called Jump. And in a second, I'll put it in the comments so you guys can check it out. For a minute and 23 seconds, whatever it is, it's just, when you said taking the leap, it reminded me of this. He talks about the fact when you're looking at other people like, oh, they're doing this and they're traveling to the south of France and, they're operating as an entrepreneur and they're not working in their business anymore. And they're this and they're that. We're often comparing ourselves, which, comparison, the enemy of success. But at the same time, we're jealous. We're like, why I want to do that. But the point is that they jumped. They jumped and their parachute's open. But when they first initially jump, he goes, your parachute's not going to open. Your back's going to get scratched up. You're going to get scared. You're going to free fall for a minute. Like I'm sure you did. He says, but eventually your parachute will open and you will figure it out as you go along. He goes, but if you never jump, your parachute will never open. And that still to this day, when I watch that video, because I'll watch that video when I'm having times where I'm just like kind of frustrated. And it's like, if you never jump that parachute, because we always got to keep jumping. We're going to jump. And then we're like, you jump to make that decision. Like I left corporate in 2019. That was one jump. Then I made another jump to do this. And I made another jump to start the podcast. I made another jump to just do this group accountability. So we keep making jumps. Our parachute's not going to open right away, but that's the part of the exhilaration of life. Like I sit there and I talk about people, they live in fear. And I'm like, the fear is the same thing as excitement. It's just depending on your perspective. When you think about the times you've jumped in your life, what advice would you have to somebody who's sitting there right now going, I want to start my own business. I want to leave this relationship. Because we know, based on what you said, is exactly the top 5 regrets of the dying by a hospice nurse said the number one regret in life is that people lived the life they thought they were supposed to live. They didn't live the life they wanted to live. So talk to us about making that jump and what we can do to inspire, because we talked about the fact that this show is called about leveling up your confidence. What are your thoughts on that, Jen?
Yeah. So some of the things that I did for that first jump was, and I got a lot of feedback from people about how much money I had invested in time. And it was sitting down with myself and saying, all right, I did do that. I have invested a tremendous amount of money. At that point, it was over $100,000 in my education, and I had invested all that time. And how could I walk away? And I really used my skills as a lawyer to go and, well, what's the counter argument to that? Yes. So I encourage my clients, I take them through a whole process where they cross-examine themselves. And they go in and they try to give the other arguments, listen to yourself, give the other arguments. What would you say if you were arguing for yourself, if you were arguing for who you really are inside? And when you start playing with that and you have to treat it like a game. If you play with that a little bit, more of who you really are starts to speak up. When you start to give that voice, even if it's writing it down on a piece of paper, talking into the mirror, that more of that voice starts rising up and you start to get little clues about it. And then figure out, pinpoint, what are those things that are really holding you back? For a lot of people, it's money. And, even if it's the relationship they're not leaving, it might be because they're afraid. There's something that they're afraid of. Maybe they're afraid of who they're going to disappoint, something like that. And it's, again, go in and give the counter argument on all of those. You can make more money in a different way. And also, I also encourage people, maybe you don't give yourself, you're not able to jump right this second. You don't feel like you have the confidence to jump right now, but do you have the confidence to figure out, how do I make that happen in 6 months? And how do I maximize my funds or lower my expenditures so that I can do that? Or how many contacts do I need to make with people to make that happen? And give yourself a tight time frame to make it happen, and then go and then do that and make that jump. And I think it gives people a lot more confidence when they can do that.
I love that. I mean, you're talking about being prepared, being intentional, being proactive. You know, so many times we're reactive to a situation. And then you were talked about like that fear. I want to capture Ted's comment here for a second. He says, you get to your best in times of adversity. The fear of the unknown kicks in and helps you to take control of the knowns to help make the unknown less scary. 100%, Ted. I appreciate you sharing that. And thank you guys all for being here in the comments. By the way, questions and engagement, we welcome that. We're having a conversation with you guys. And so when I think about what you're talking about is the fact that, you know, we have to be clear on the intentions of who we're becoming. And I sit there and I tell people, when you have a big enough why, you have a big enough how. And like I talked about in the beginning of the show, my intention every day is to use my words and my actions to make this world a better place. And that came from the fact that I wrote my eulogy back in 2008, where I decided, like, if I died tomorrow, who would show up and what would they say about me? And at that point, they would call me a party animal. They would like Bon Jovi and Motley Crue and Jack Daniels and stupid shit. You know, Chris, oh yeah, by the way, he was a 7th grade homeless dropout that changed the world. And I just thought, is that really what I want to be remembered for? And that's when I went home and I wrote my eulogy, as weird as it was. And that the crux of it said that I will fight for what's right and what's fair, and I'll risk for which that mattered, and I'll have left the earth a better place for who I am and what I do. Yeah. Talk to us about how we can inspire people to have that big why, because so many times people are in the reactive mode. They're in the victim mode. They're in the survivor mode. They're in I just have to maintain today. Talk to us about what we can do to get people, because we're talking about leveling up our confidence, to get a clearer picture of who it is that are becoming, and to ditch who it is that we've been.
Yeah. So I think part of it is turning down the noise. And one of the things that I encourage people to do is to take a step back and question who they're listening to. Yeah. You and I have talked often, or I've heard you talk about this, is sometimes people are obsessed with watching the news, or obsessed with picking up their phone and they're watching TikToks or Instagrams, or they're looking at particular influencers. You were talking about watching YouTube and really being intentional about who you're learning from. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times people are doing that in a very passive way, and they don't realize that the more they look at one topic, the more the algorithm just feeds them that topic. Yeah. And they're not even doing it intentionally at all. And so I like to do a bit of a detox with my clients, with anyone that I'm advising, is let's back off from the noise and make sure that you actually are getting information from the right spot. And that, because that does, what we take in influences who we become.
1000%.
And you can't hear you can't hear that inner voice, that inner knowing, that inner why that can help you make that jump, if all you're doing is listening to what's out there. And quite frankly, most of it is fear-based. Most of what's out there is designed to scare the crap out of you and to scare you, to scare you still, is to keep you stuck. And if that's the case, and you have this gnawing, this knowing inside that you're meant for more, that you could be doing more, you have to back off. So I like to tell people, shut it off, get outside, sit with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you have to, that's what you have to do. And that'll allow you to also get calm enough so that you can not be so reactive. Half the time we're so reactive is because our nervous systems are out of whack. Mm-hmm. And you just have to give your system a chance to quiet down. So this doesn't mean you don't have to ever, it's a permanent detox, or you don't have to listen to anyone. But I really think backing off of listening to people so you can hear that voice and create that time.
So true. So true. The Stephen Covey rule, you're like the 5 people you're around the most. Like I tell people, do this simple exercise and it won't take long. Like take a piece of paper out and write the 5 people you're around the most, be honest. And do they promote you to go out there and take risk, or do they try to hold you back to be safe? Oh, you should stay there. It's safe and it's certain. Like, Chris, you shouldn't quit your job. You made lots of money. And like, you were homeless. You should be careful. I'm like, No, I don't want on my gravestone that he played it safe. He was careful. That's
Right.
not why I'm here. I'm here to live life. I'm not here to exist in life.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to what you're saying is, the fact that so many times we don't even take care of ourselves, but yet we want these experiences. We want these healthy relationships. We want these opportunities at work. I've done so many complimentary coaching sessions over the course of COVID. And there was a couple of things that came to light. Number one, I would ask people just out of the blue, I'm like, how much water do you drink a day?
Right.
They're like, what? And I'm like, how much? I don't drink water. I drink coffee. I drink soda. I don't drink any. I'm like, do you realize your body's like 70, 80% water? And the fact that if you don't hydrate yourself all day long, that you're probably operating from a shitty standpoint, from a shitty foundation. I was talking with a prospective coaching client tonight. We were talking about strong foundations. And I'm like, number one, I call it the 5. I nicknamed it the 5, like hydration, nutrition, sleep, exercise, and vitamin D. Like if you take care of those areas, like get out some vitamin D. If you're not getting out in the sunshine, guess what? There's a chance that you're going to be depressed. There was a point here in California, God forbid, there was no sun for 10 days. And I literally found myself like on day 8, feeling like I was going to like drive myself off a cliff. I was like, God, why do I feel so desperate and dark? And I'm like, oh, I have not seen the sun. It literally rained for like 10 days. And so I started supplementing with vitamin D. I started getting outside and taking a 10-minute walk. The nutrition, I stopped eating gluten. I stopped eating a lot of sugar. My inflammation went down. My pain went down. I felt better. When you feel better, you do better. When you do better, it builds on that whole thing. And it builds this positive reinforcing cycle to say, hey, listen, I'm on the right track. But to your point, when we're sitting there associating with people that are negative naysayers, they watching the news and they're getting brought down. There is no hope for them. There's no opportunity. So misery loves company. It's like, I'll hang out with people that are miserable. So at least I feel included. Yeah. And I know when you're talking about the detox, that is so important because my son's 6. So it had to be more than 6 years ago, which is amazing. Most people won't believe this. I was a political junkie and I was a news junkie. Me and my buddy every day at work would talk about what's going on in Congress. We'd be able to talk about the senators. We'd talk about the bills, blah, blah. And I literally found myself one night yelling at the television set. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I'm doing nothing about it. I'm not getting involved in my local city council. I'm not doing anything with my school board. I'm just bitching and pissing and moaning. And I'm hoping, wishing, and praying that something changes. So I said, I'm just going to go 2 weeks without watching the nightly news. I'm going to go 2 weeks. And I've never gone back to it. I still we'll see headlines and stuff like that. But I've seen what happens to people. And I put my head in the sand. But when I look around in the world as it is, there are beautiful people. I find beautiful people from all walks of life. I know there's Trump supporters and Biden supporters and vaxxers and we don't talk about that shit. We just help make the world a better place. Right. One thing I want people to get to know about you is I want you to share something about maybe one of your down times in your life where you were really down at your worst and what it is that you did to kind of shift your perspective and what lessons you learned out of that experience.
Oh gosh. So, one of the worst times in my life was actually during COVID. And in the beginning, I really had a tremendous amount of people coming to me because I'm just known for that. I know what to do in crisis. I was helping a lot of people and I had it down. So I had the COVID thing down early on. I was a speaker. I spoke 5 times live in the 10 days before, COVID shut us down. And I was facing my own fears, quite frankly. I was like, well, that just dried up how I get my clients. I got my clients from referrals and speaking. And so I had to manage my own mindset, my own stress responses to that. And I was doing great. And then in October, we got the news that my baby sister had a rare cancer.
Oh, geez.
And so we were with her for that fight. And during that time, watching her, really struggle and really fight through a time when people were not around. A young mom who's passing away, usually people are able to circle around and circle the wagons and help. But it was a time where everybody was staying away on purpose. And so it ended up, I ended up being really, really strong for her, but it ended up being a really dark time after she passed for me because I had stayed strong for everybody else. And then after she passed, it was like I allowed myself to finally feel it. And the way that I got through that was by getting support and going to knowing everything that I know about brain health and emotional health and how that's really the foundation I did some of what you're talking about. I stopped, I put the phone down.
Mm-hmm.
I made sure when I got up in the morning, I was drinking water and hydrating. That helps you think more clearly. I mean, it's so important for brain health, getting outside, spending time with people, and like I said, getting support, both support for my business, support for for my mental health by seeing a therapist for all of that, and that reminder of just because I'm the person that people often go to for help doesn't mean that I don't need help. I also need the help and support, and to ask for what I needed.
Yeah.
And that's I was watching I'm a confidence expert. I was watching my own confidence diminish when I went into this hole a little bit, and really focusing on my well-being first was what helped me build that confidence back and re-engage with life.
I love that. I love that. So when you think about that particular experience and having to, I call it becoming my own best coaching client.
Yes.
So when I sit there and I have to get out of my shoes and sit there and say, okay, Chris, because I've always been the lone wolf. I've got it all figured out. Everybody comes to me. I don't show weakness. And then through my process of becoming truly authentic and having better integrity with myself, to sit there and say, okay, as a coach, it's okay for me to say I'm not having a good day. It's okay for me to sit there and say I'm having challenging moments. But for me, it's like, how can I keep that congruency with myself? And for me, that's, you talked about it a little bit before. I talk about that honest conversation with ourselves. I find that when I speak out loud, that my out loud voice is the real voice, is like the smart one. Because I'll sit there and say, Chris, why the fuck are you doing this? Why are you thinking this way? That's stupid. You should be doing, and so the outside voice seems to be the intelligent one. The inside voice seems to be that one that's programmed from the mind, instead of like listening to your soul. So I think about the outside voice being the soul voice, and the inside voice being the monkey brain, where it's fight or flight, or, the reactive versus the proactive. And I found that when I can sit there and say, okay, if Jen came to me right now with the same situation that you're going through, Chris, what questions would you ask? Because I'm all about asking questions. I'm not about telling people what to do. What questions would you ask? And if she asked, what advice would you have? Because Chris, and I would say this out loud, Chris, you have a solution for everything. And I'm pretty smart. I'm pretty industrious about thinking about solutions. So I put that back on myself to come back to sit there and say, okay, Chris, you need to find vulnerability. You need to find the fact that it's okay to go through these opportunities, because like I've been telling people recently, everything that has happened in our life and everything that is currently happening is it's preparing us for what's next.
Right.
And when we think about the life that we've achieved at this point, we've survived 100% of all the different valleys that we've been through. Mm-hmm. And that there's also this opportunity to say, listen, when have I grown the most? When things were awesome and things were easy, because we've all had those experiences, or let's be honest, when things were challenging and fucked up. I have learned more when things were challenging and fucked up. I don't want to go back and repeat it, but because I went through homelessness, because I went through attempted suicide, because I went through my mom being raped, because I went through backstabbing by my first wife, all these different things, I've become a better person because I've chosen to take those opportunities and see them as gifts. When you think about what you do with your clients and talking about confidence, so many times we're afraid of fear. We're afraid of the judgment of others. We're afraid of making mistakes. What are your thoughts on that?
That it's almost desensitizing yourself to it. It's people don't like the phrase getting comfortable, being comfortable with the uncomfortable, but it is allowing yourself to take baby steps in that direction. I see confidence as something is not an absolute. It's something that ebbs and flows. It's something that's more of like on a spiral. You can go down, you can go back up. And when you give yourself some grace around that, then you can feel you don't have to feel the pressure to be the most confident person. I'm not someone who says that you fake it till you make it. I'm very against the fake it till you make it mantra that so many people are sold, because then it's not real. And I encourage people to look, where are the areas that you are confident? And then you can borrow off of that. What does that feel like? And then look for the ways where you can find examples of where you have been confident and why you can be confident with moving forward. If you've overcome challenges in the past, you're likely to find a way to overcome the challenges in the future, even if you don't know exactly how you're going to do that. And so it's really it's almost like training your confidence muscle and recognizing that it's not static. It's not something you're born with. It's not something you get lucky to have. It's something that you have to train on a regular basis. Confidence is a verb. So you have to move with confidence. You have to jump with confidence. You have to take that next step with confidence. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by the fear of a really big move, well, make the smaller move that you're feeling really good about. And then that's how momentum is built.
Yes, yes, yes. And I love that. I used to say fake it till you make it because that's kind of what I did in the early days. But now I found out that I repositioned it as act as if. And I learned that from a career coach that I had years and years and years ago. They said, you know what, Chris, if you want that next leadership position, you want that VP position, you need to act as if now. It's not a matter of like, oh, when I get this position, then I'm going to do all these things. You need to be acting as if it is now without overstepping your boundaries and without coming off as a arrogant asshole. Is like, what would a VP do right now? What would a VP in this situation do? What offers and suggestions would they have in an all management meeting? And so I think that's a great way of looking at it, repositioning it. Because I said, fake it till you make it. Because it's like almost that if you put yourself in the shoes, you'll start getting that momentum. But acting as if is a bigger situation because you're putting yourself in that mental state to be able to move forward.
And something you said earlier, it's like you're becoming. It's if you the language and even a subtle point on language really matters. A lot of the work that I do is around neuroscience and how we rewire our brain. And if you're constantly saying fake it till you make it, your brain hears fake it. I'm a fake. It encourages that imposter syndrome.
Imposter.
And so let that go. Act as if I am becoming this. Dress for the job you want is the kind of idea that we've got there. And, act as if is much better language for your brain, for it to internalize and allow you to become truly confident, even on the inside. And, so much of our confidence is not only our mindset and how we think, it's also governed a bit by our hormones and some of those fear-based hormones that come up. And so if you get a little bit of knowledge and understanding that some of what you're experiencing is like a normal primal experience of your hormones reacting, just trying to keep you safe, then you can learn a couple of exercises to calm yourself down and to kind of tame your own hormones so you can biohack that confidence and get yourself right into a more confident state. So, that strengthens that muscle from a body first perspective.
What you talk about is being intentional, I tell people to, I ask people, like, have you learned from your mistakes? And for the most part, people say yes. And I'm like, well, go make more. It's about that perspective shift. Like, how can I see this perspective? Like, I don't want to make mistakes, but like they're learning opportunities. Have you failed? Yes. Okay. Tell me about that failure. What did you learn from it? Well, I learned these 3 things. I'm like, so that was a good thing, right? Like, I guess so. I'm like, how would you shift your perspective and see your failures as a positive thing? It's all about that perspective shift. And I think about the fact, before I ask you this next question, I just want to grab this. Stephen Smith says here, sorry, Jen, about your loss. It's difficult. Love your passion and desire. Awesome. We got Ted saying here, he goes, and when you find a roadblock you can't figure out how to get past, don't be afraid to ask others how they would approach getting past it. Yes. I mean, there's so much strength and vulnerability. There's strength in asking. Nellie says here, she goes, seems to me the longer you fake it, not likely that you will make it. 100% Nellie. Nellie is awesome. Absolutely. She goes on to say here, she goes, yes, live and think of as you expect victory and accomplishment. Do the things that accommodate your vision. Yes. Super important. Get what you expect. Yes.
Get what you expect for sure.
Yeah. My brother Scott was in here for a second. He goes, love you all, heading to bed. Scott and I do a Friday night show. For you guys, if you don't know that, I do the Unfiltered Experience on Friday nights. So if you guys are interested in that, check out the unfilteredexperience.com. Some people are like surprised. They like, you do 2 shows? I'm like, yeah, I do another show on Friday night. So love you, Scott. Thank you for being here and being here with us. The next thing I want to kind of shift gears on is so many people are, when they're thinking about confidence, their confidence is lacking because they still hold anger and animosity towards somebody. I'm this way because my mom, I'm this way because of my boss, I'm this way because the government, I'm this way for whatever reason you want to insert. Talk to us about the role that forgiveness and empathy plays in our ability to gain confidence and our ability to heal and to grow past the person that we perceive ourselves to be right now as a victim.
Yeah. So I would put that kind of blame game scenario more into the mindset area. And again, everything starts with awareness. If you want to change and you want to transform, and you know that your confidence is impacted by some anger and some blaming that you're catching, that's really the first part of that, is the awareness that, okay, this is something that's holding me back here. And when you can be intentional and decide that you're going to forgive, it sounds cliche, but it is for you. It does change your energy when you forgive people. And it also takes up much less mental space for you. And when you are angry and looking backwards, it's much less confident to be looking backwards and constantly focusing on what happened to you, rather than to choose what are your next steps moving forward. And forgiveness is a forward moving type of an energy. Forgiveness allows you to go forward and not get mired and stuck. And so there's lots of ways that I have people look at forgiveness. Sometimes they write a letter to people.
Yep.
Sometimes they actually have the conversations if that's available to them. Sometimes that's not available to people for a host of reasons. Maybe it's not safe for them, something like that. But and then there's even some meditations. There's something called the Ho'oponopono. I could spell that out for you if you're not familiar with it. It's really fascinating. It's fascinating work around how people were able to become a lot more successful and even heal by doing this Hawaiian forgiveness ritual. And
I've heard about that. Yeah.
it's something that I used at one point in my life, and I saw just doing it for 30 days made a huge difference for me. One of my clients my client hired me one-on-one for a full year, my highest level package. And he said, it's a 5-figure package to work with me at that level. And he said, the first 30 days where all we worked on was forgiveness, that the entire year was worth what happened and what resulted from that. And what resulted from that were better relationships in his personal life. And it also expanded his business right away within 30 days. It's something that and once you see those results, that'll skyrocket your confidence for sure.
So true. So true. I can't even believe it. We've already been going for 47 minutes.
Me neither.
I just knew this conversation was going to be fire. Thank you guys all for being with us and engaging with us. One of my last questions for you is like, you were talking about being a coach. Who is it that you work with? And the second part of that what are some of the questions that you like to ask people to inspire thought or to inspire change?
Yeah. So I work with high performers. So I've worked with entrepreneurs, executives. I've even worked with Broadway actresses. I've worked with athletes. I have a background in fitness as well. And so I work with people who they are already doing some work. They've already been doing some, but they're finding themselves stuck in some way. And I take them from chaos to confidence. And it's really, really fun to work with them. One of the fun things that I love to do with clients, and it kind of taps into what you were talking about, was where you get clients to write out the 5 people they spend the most time with. Yeah. I ask people to write down the 5 beliefs they spend the most time with.
Ooh.
And so I take his work and I add, because what we believe and allow ourselves to continue believing really impacts us. It impacts us in the kinds of actions that we'll take. It can start if they're more fear-based beliefs, if we're honest about them, then we can realize that we're in a place that's more like fight or flight. Our nervous system is dysregulated, and we're wiring ourselves to continue on that path.
Yes.
And when I do that, we really dive in, and I challenge them, because oftentimes, I give them that homework assignment and then they come back like they want their little, gold star. Look at my great beliefs that I just cultivated. And then I want to know, are those the things that you're really thinking every single day? Mm-hmm. And to look for the ones that are popping up that are holding you back. And then we can work on eradicating those or transforming them into something that's more meaningful, that's really will move them towards their purpose. The other, I'm going to add one more. I'll just put it in a little bonus one is I also love to challenge my clients when I first start working with them is on their core values. Do they really know them? Or were they like me as that girl who was going in and like following the path that was laid out for her? Did I just take a list of core values I thought I should have? I really thought about what mine are. And for people who maybe haven't really done significant core values work, they may find that the core values were things they were told to have and not what they actually believe or what they actually want them to be. And so I love to go there. And I know we have so many synergies.
Oh yeah.
I want to put in a plug before you even say anything else. That program, that accountability program, I used to offer one like that. I think it's amazing that you're offering it. I don't have anything like that. It's not common to see that from a coach, and it's ridiculously uncommon to see it at such an incredible value, and you should be taking advantage of it and get
thank you.
To work with you. It's amazing. What a gift.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. My coach hasn't seen it yet. And God's honest truth, transparency and everything else. One of the biggest things she's had me work on is my value and my worthiness. She's like, when I first started working with her, she's like, you charge $800 a month to work with you? Like, that's Chris, really, seriously, you should be like, you're at this level and you need to own that. And I'm like, well, I just want to help people. And she's like, well, you got to sit there and blah, 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 all these other different things. Yep. But I just feel called in my heart. I just feel called in my heart to do it. So thank you for that shout out. I appreciate that. I know that I'm just trying to make it ridiculous so people can actually take advantage of it. And there's no excuses. And I know people will have excuses. Some people have already responded to my shares on that. And they're like, well, Chris, I've got this going on. I've got this going on. I'm like, hey, that's fine. Continue to do what you're doing. I hope you get a different result, but chances are you're not. I mean, I know for me, I was doing okay by myself, but once I got my coach and once I got a mastermind and once I got an accountability group, the thing that took me 3 years to do took me 3 months to do, because people will say, okay, you got to show up and you got to do this shit. So thank you for that shout out. Where can people get, because we've already been talking for 51 minutes, it's crazy. Where can people get a hold of you and continue the conversation? If you got anything you got going on, by all means, share it with us.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, jengrosso.co. You can follow me on my website, which is theboldfireinstitute.com. You can check that out. I run something called the High Performance Book Club. I'm a reader. It's my very low cost way to interact with me. We do a book every month that is radically going to improve your ability to perform on a personal and professional level. This month, we're looking at a book that's all about breath work. We do a lot with breath work, neurobiology. We had Bob Berg from The Go Giver, which was...
I just had him on my show not too long ago.
I know. And you connected me with him, which was fantastic.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He came in and he did an interview with my book club and he was outstanding. So it's really a great way. I think that reading and engaging in amazing content is wonderful. And when you can do that with others, it's really fantastic. So I'd love to invite anyone to do that. And you have the website up there. So I appreciate that.
Say it out loud for the people that are listening on the audio
podcast. For the
people
who are listening, you can get to that by going to boldfireinstitute.com/courses/book club.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. I actually used to run a book club. It went on hiatus at the beginning of summer because literally everybody in the book club had something personal going on. I said, well, let's just take the summer off. We were doing the same thing because when you read, I mean, leaders are readers. I mean, I'm literally reading probably 3 different books at once. Plus, I literally make the time to sit down. Yeah, I literally sit down and watch YouTube every night. My whole thing is Alex Hormozy right now. So you got to continue to grow yourself. I mean, the thing, Jen, that fucking blows my mind is when people sit there and say, oh, Chris, I've got financial problems. I'm like, so what have you Googled recently that helped you with your financial problems? I haven't. Yeah. I'm like, the fucking answers are right there. Like literally you can go to ChatGPT, you can go to Google, you can go to YouTube. There are thousands and thousands of answers out there. Take those thousands of answers and go apply them and continue to apply them. It's incredible what you can accomplish on your own for free. I used to tell people like, I can't afford to work with you, Chris. I'm like, if I give you 5 books, and you promise to read these books and you promise to, I won't even tell you which 3 things out of each book to apply. And you read those 5 books within 6 months and you apply 3 things from each one of those. That's 15 things. Can you imagine what the next 6 months of your life is going to be like? Yeah. I've probably said that a couple 100 times at least. I've had like 3 or 4 people take me up on that. And they've come back to me like, holy shit, Chris, when I read Think and Grow Rich, when I read How to Influence and Influence People, when I read The 4 Agreements, when I read The Untethered Soul, you know, whatever books I assigned to them in that particular, it's like everything is there, ladies and gentlemen. You just got to get out of your own way and stop with the excuses. Jen Grosso, this has been amazing. Thank you for being here. I'm going to put you backstage for a second. I'm going to close out the show, but thank you for everything. Don't go anywhere. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you all for being here. Valerie says, yes. Thank you for being here. Robert in the house says, I recently heard the term, Arshiers. I don't know what that is. You have to expand on that one, Robert. I appreciate that. Ted's offering some comment back here. By the way, Ted is overcoming a lot of challenges right now. So send your heart and love out to Ted. He says, everyone has weaknesses. The question is, do you let your weakness defeat you? Turn your weaknesses into motivational strengths? Absolutely. 100%, brother. I appreciate that. He also says here, being a disabled man, I have learned that I can either be angry at the world for the things that I can't do, or I can look at my disability as a motivational gift and instead look at the ways that makes me a stronger person. I choose disability. I'm disability strong. My question is, are you disability strong? 1,000%. It is crazy. Nelly says here, when I decided it was my fault for letting assholes into my space in the first place, forgiving them was easy because I no longer blame them. 1,000%. I mean, just that alone, ladies and gentlemen, take that to heart, because so many of you guys are carrying animosity and anger and blame towards people that there's no worthiness in your life for that. That you're allowing that electrical energy to hold you back. You're choosing to be a victim in those situations. It's pretty incredible. We've had so many beautiful people in here. We have my sister from another mister, Serena. By the way, I finally found, I don't know where it was at, but there it is. helphealhumanity.org. Guys, check it out. It's a beautiful organization. When you get value out of this show, if you could do me a favor and if you could go donate $5, $10, whatever it is, we are putting kids through school. We are feeding kids. That's one of the biggest problems that we're having, is that we're putting kids through school, but they're not able to concentrate because they're fucking hungry. If you're in a spot where you can do something, go to helphealhumanity.org, make a donation. If there's a spot, I can't remember if there's a spot there. I actually sponsor a kid, and then we make little donations here and there. My No Excuses workshop that I recently did, I donated all the funds to Help Heal Humanity because we were doing something to send kids to school. But, do us a favor, go there. If you want to be a part of the organization, I know my sister from another Mr. Mary Kay. She is a copywriter, and I said, oh, we need somebody to copyright. And so I introduced her to the founder, Serena, and now she just recently got inducted on the board of directors. So if you want a part of that, by all means, let us know. Let us know what we can do to support you. Valerie says here, awesome talk. Thank you for that, Valerie. Thank you for being here. And again, when you get value out of this, if you got something out of this show, do me a favor. I'm all about spreading the word. It's not about numbers or statistics or anything else for me. It's about the fact that if you got something out of this and you share this on your social media and you say, hey, I just watched this conversation with Jen and Chris, and I got these 3 things out of this. You might want to check it out, because when you apply the things that you learn, it's pretty incredible how fast your life and your perspective can start to change. And again, all that builds on itself. You can either be in a vicious cycle of insanity and downward spiral where it'll all feed on itself. God, life sucks. Everybody sucks. Life is horrible, blah, blah, blah. And then your reticular activation system says, I'm going to go find more of that shit. Or you start listening to positive content and you start sharing that shit and you start telling people what it is that you're learning. Like, take what you learned tonight and call somebody right now and say, hey, listen, I just learned these couple of things. That'll reinforce in your subconscious mind what it is that you learned, and it'll be a lot easier for you to retain that information. It's incredible. So again, I appreciate you guys all for being here. It's a question of what are you going to do with this information? It's one thing to be inspired. It's one thing to be inspired, but it's another thing to take action. Like Jen was saying, so positively, thank you for that. If you're all interested in taking responsibility or taking accountability for your life, go back and watch the beginning of the show where I talked about my group coaching program. It's something I feel called to do. It's something I normally do not do, just to be truthfully transparent with you. I'm a one-on-one coach. That's all I do. But I feel that this is exciting, and I've got people that are excited about doing it who are in a position where they really can't afford much, but they're excited about doing this. I told one guy that really wanted to work with me. He was trying to find a loan to work with me. He's super excited. He's like, oh my God, that's what it is. And he signed up right away. So I just appreciate you guys. And Ted says here, he goes, I would like to be a guest on your show. I have a lot to help people with. 100%, dude. Afterwards, I'll send you a link. Admittedly, we are booking into April and May already. We are booking into April and May. I get people all the time saying, I've got somebody, they're a PR agency, they want somebody to be on the show, because we are in the top 15% of podcasts globally. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for subscribing to the podcast. If you're not subscribed, please go do that. Help me out, support me with the numbers, leave a positive review. review. And we'll be back here again next week. Next week is Halloween, so I'm going to be doing a special show. I might have my son do our first show together. So we've been talking about doing the Jackson and Daddy show. So maybe we'll do that next week. So I love you guys. Go out there, be brilliant, be the change you bitch about. Let's make the world a better place. And let's subscribe to our own philosophies. And please, please connect with Jen again. Make sure you go to the bullfireinstitute.com, find out about her, go to the courses, go to the book club, and connect with her. I'll see you guys there next week. I love and appreciate you guys. Cheers.